So the goal for today is to target specifically the Vice Provost's office, which is in this building right here. So around 11:30 or 12, we'll go march around that building, go in there. And the idea is to present the names of the strikers to the Vice President.
So how long has this been going on again?
So the collective action has been going for about 3.5 years now. Right before COVID started, there was a large march to the library for early collective bargaining attempt, which pretty much failed, as you can tell. From there, we've continuously gone towards unionizing. Now we have a parent union, the United Electrical Workers, and we will likely become a formal chapter within that union during the summer. Currently, we are still operating as one. We just need to pass bylaws and whatnot. So the long answer is 3.5 years. Short answer, it's relatively new development in terms of becoming a union like we are. And then the strike, obviously.
How has the administration reacted to all of this?
So the administration has pretty much, specifically the Provost's office, to be more precise. The Provost's office has been doing a bunch of meetings, listening sessions, whatnot early on. Those largely didn't amount to too much. A lot of graduate workers just became frustrated because the provost was notoriously just dismissive of the concerns that are being raised, but at the same time saying, oh, but I am listening. You're listening nominally. Most graduate workers don't feel as though the provost has actually been listening. Like, for example, the provost has established a task force recently to address these graduate concerns, but announced that only one graduate worker will be on that committee of like 20 members. So that's the kind of thing in which, like, you're listening, but you're not listening. That's the real frustration of the provost's office, is that the provost says he's listening, but he's not. And it's especially frustrating because in the meetings with the faculty, we know that the provost continues to threaten to fire us. So it's like, I'm listening to the graduate students, but I'm also willing to fire all of them. So in a way, it's just hypocritical. It's inconsistent. But, you know, provost bureaucrats will do as provosts and bureaucrats do, I suppose. Which is why we need a union.
I know you guys vote weekly.
Mm-hmm.
So far, how long are you planning to run this strike?
The strike will go as long as the members continue to vote for it. So if there is an attempt to collectively bargain at all, the picketing will likely be suspended, but not canceled. So if collective bargaining is actually done by the provost, we have a committee designated to do that by about 15 of our members. They would deal with that, and we would negotiate either a settlement to end it for the semester or a settlement to end it largely indefinitely. And that would probably require the recognition of the union as a formal bargaining mechanism. But in terms of the ending of the strike, it comes down to however long the members vote for it. So if the provost gives an offer, we give the offer to the members' body, they vote on it, and if it's enough, we end the strike. If it's not enough, we go back to bargaining, or trying to bargain.
And what are some of the demands that you're seeking from the administration?
The primary demand is for the union, because this only happened because there is no formal mechanism for us to address grievances with the administration. So the lack of that formal mechanism is precisely how we ended up here after a decade of not negotiating graduate students, right? Our wages have largely stagnated for probably roughly a decade or more. With the provost's recent announcement of the minimum raise to $18K, that doesn't even keep track of inflation for this year. And it's especially frustrating when the former provost, the president, both received $500,000 during the pandemic. So there's money for them, but not money for us, not money for the classrooms. In terms of the material demands, we would largely look for something like Bloomington's own cost of living estimation, the university's own cost of living estimation. The university openly acknowledges that the minimum is well below the cost of living. To be fair, that's fucked up. That's messed up, if you want to bleep that out. That's probably that's the thing that we would really want. Even for ending it this semester, people would probably be willing to end it this semester if there was some kind of promise like canceling the fees. In the Big Ten, we pay the second most fees. The only school that pays more in fees is Nebraska. We pay as it currently stands, we would pay about 9% of our stipend at minimum back in fees. That's crazy. And we're already making below the cost of living as well. But meanwhile, the administration makes $500,000 a person. It's absurd. It is. It's patently corrupt. So, in all honesty, the thing that would really break it is the recognition of the union. But there are material concessions that can be done to, say, delay the action to next semester and so on.
So, out of curiosity, for the audience members that don't know what grad student workers do, what do you guys do? What kind of tasks do you perform?
Okay, so the answer is depends on a lot of things. So some of us are graders, just graders, excuse me. Some of us are just graders. So, we'll have a 60 to 100 students in which we'll grade 4 or 5 papers or assignments or so on and so forth. So, for those, the basic argument of the administration is that you're not supposed to work more than half time. Graders, for example, very often do though, right? If a grader has 70, 100 students, it's largely up to the professor how many assignments are given, and then they have to do all those grading. There's no real way other than just like department policy by which if you work more than 20 hours, do you get more money? Maybe, maybe not. Some are assistants, so they'll also teach like discussion sections on top of grading. When it comes to like assisting, you also do grading, but you also teach discussion sections. So there's more on top of it, usually less students. You could be research assistants or associates, in which case you'd be working with a professor very intimately. So on. There's a bunch of different kinds of positions. Some graduate students, they are instructors of record, so they only teach the students. They run the class, they design the class, they do everything a professor would do in that case. But different departments have different allocations.
So, as far as anything goes, you're asking for fair, payment from the.
In terms of material demands, yes. I mean, if the university relies on us to teach courses that they have to teach, graduate workers here teach a disproportionate number of classes. Some estimates are low. The low end of the estimation is 20% of classes are taught by graduate students. The high end is 40 in some cases. Some departments, the workload largely is shifted onto graduate labor. For example, French and Italian, very famously, they teach 3 classes each as primary instructors every year. That's a lot, collectively. I mean, that's over 800 students in terms of how many graduate students they have being taught. So, yeah, in terms of the material demands, we want to be fairly compensated. The university depends on us. We should be able to have a good life, more or less. In terms of what would end a strike is likely the formal recognition of the union. And then further bargaining can be done down the road. But the issue is there is no formal body by which these issues are addressed sufficiently. And that's the frustration. That's why we're here, after 3 years of trying to get the administration to listen.